Hey, Happy New Year. And welcome to our new group. My name is Amber. I'm one of the coaches that's going to be helping out in this group. Um, and I've been asked to talk about goal setting. This is one of my favorite topics, especially when it comes to coaching. It is near and dear to my heart, and I love learning more and more about it. I am always reading personal development books or self-help books that focus on goal setting and follow through because it was always a weakness for me. I was always a quitter when I was growing up. I would get partway through something, it would get hard, and I would just quit. So as an adult, I have vowed to not be a quitter anymore, and I love focusing on the follow through of a really good, strong goal. So I'm going to try to keep this succinct. I've read, like I said, I've read a lot of personal development books on this subject, and recently I read and I'm currently rereading a new one, and it has all kinds of scientific research in positive psychology and all these results that are really, really showing these things that I've been studying to be true in everyone. So it's very applicable to you. I hope you really dial into this. And I'm really excited to share this with you. So first of all, when you Google goals or something, the first thing that'll pop up is an image of a SMART goal, SMART, and all the things you learn like in school about setting goals. And SMART goals are really good. We need those. We do need SMART goals. But I want to talk about two different kinds of goal setting that are equally important. The first one is SMART goals, and the second one is called BHAGs. It stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goals. We need both of these kinds of goals to really be successful in the long run. So let me kind of define what they are. So BHAGs, they are the scary big things, the kinds of goals that you can barely even imagine when you go to sleep at night or you're daydreaming. You want these things that seem completely impossible, unachievable, unattainable, way too big to even think that it would be possible. Those are your BHAGs. And in order to reach those goals, if you actually do want to reach them, you have to be able to break them down into more manageable chunks or like stepping stone type goals. And it's best if you do it several times. So let's pretend that your BHAG is to be a billionaire. That might seem really unattainable, especially if you're in like an entry level or mid-level job and not earning very much. Maybe if you don't have much earning power right now, it may seem like it would be impossible to become a billionaire, but people do it, right? So how do they do it? They break it down into chunks. Okay, well, if you eventually want to get way up here, you're going to have to break it down into more manageable sized chunks. But then, things like hitting the $1 million mark, well, that's still a really big chunk. You can't just jump from where you are right now up to, halfway. You're going to have to break it down a little more, and then break it down a little more, and then break it down a little more. And that's where the SMART goals come in. So if you have this goal to do something outrageous, let's bring it a little closer to home. Let's say you want to lose 50 pounds because you're overweight and you want to be feeling better. Well, you can't start just by losing 50 pounds. You're going to have to start with a much smaller goal, maybe just 5 pounds. And how are you going to lose those 5 pounds? Well, you can set even smaller goals, like I'm going to give up sugar, or maybe even not that big of a deal. We're going to give up Dr. Pepper. That's a really good starting point. Or going to exercise every day or 6 days a week, I would say, for 6 weeks. We're going to do a program start to finish, something like 21 Day Fix. That's only 3 weeks long. I'm going to follow the nutrition plan that goes with it. Or I'm going to, log my stuff here every single day for this entire month of January. Do my exercise, do my personal development, do my follow the nutrition program. All of those are much smaller, more manageable goals that over time you will build, and eventually you'll get to the point where you lose your 50 pounds if you stick with that trajectory. So those BHAGs are a big deal, and the SMART goals are a big deal. And the truth is they work together. We need them both. But we're going to back up just a little bit, because you can't just jump into setting a goal willy-nilly. You have to have a plan first. So you have to kind of know the end from the beginning. Those BHAGs, the big, hairy, audacious goals, the ones that seem impossible, you need to know where you want to go first. And sometimes you need to even go beyond those big, hairy, audacious goals. One of my big, hairy, audacious goals, or our families, I should say, is for my husband to work off all of his student loan debt. He's a dentist. He went to a really expensive private dental school. We're more than $500,000 in debt, especially because then we tagged on a residency. And so that's a lot. That's a really big goal to try to accomplish, to pay off it's over $600,000 now, especially in, a short amount of time. That's a lot. He earns a good income, but not enough to pay off all of that out of pocket. And so we set a smaller goal. He looked into all the research and all that kind of stuff. He set up on a 10-year plan to work in a public health setting, excuse me, which has a lot of benefits, but a lot of drawbacks. It's kind of a crappy job. He's more like a janitor than a dentist, or, than a doctor or whatever. It's not a glory job. Anyway, but because he's in that program, it'll be 10 years before he works off his student loan debt. Okay, and then we break it down even smaller into more manageable chunks because his job sucks. It sucks the life out of him. So we have to make more manageable stepping stones along the way, because we can't just wait 10 years and then expect to be happy. We have to do things along the way to manage stress and life and all of the discomforts and negativity of his job, because it really is not a fun setting to be in every day, and he gets drained really fast, so that he can stay in the job for 10 years. And then after 10 years, the $600,000 will be forgiven and our goal will be accomplished. So that's one of our BHAGs. But beyond that, we want to be financially independent. So the BHAG is to pay off the student loans, but we also want to pay off our mortgage. We also want to save for retirement. We also want to have flexibility in our earning potential well into our elderly years, so that we can eventually, serve full-time missions as a senior couple. If you know what that is, that's a church thing, so that we can be able to support our kids through college and weddings and for missions and all that kind of stuff. So one of the BHAGs is the dental school loan, but the bigger picture is way bigger than that. So you have to know what you want in the end before you choose your BHAGs, and then you have to know your BHAGs before you choose your SMART goals, which are like the stepping stones. I hope you're still with me. And I'm going to try to keep this short, hopefully under 10 minutes, maybe a little bit over, but stay plugged in, okay? I'm not done yet. So once you have your BHAGs, once you have your stepping stone SMART goals, once you know the big picture of where you want to end up, we have to do some self-checks, because just setting a goal is not enough to make you follow through. And follow through is what we're really aiming for here. We want you to finish. We want you to reach your goals. We want you to actually accomplish the things you set out to do, not just say it, forget about it, move on, and then be disappointed or disillusioned. So we have to do some self-checks. I love these little reminders. And I ask myself these questions on a regular basis to make sure that the goals that I have set are actually things that I am going to follow through with. The first one is, it's more of a reminder, not really a question, kind of a question, whatever. I didn't phrase these in the form of a question, but I ask myself these things all the time. So the first one is, you have to realize that a goal that you set is not truly a desire unless it motivates you to action. If you're thinking about your goal and you're thinking, gosh, that sounds like a lot of work, I don't really think I can do that. Or, I want the thing in the end that I'm aiming for, but I don't want to go through the steps every day to get it, then forget it, because you are not going to finish that goal. It is not a desire. It's just a wish. For example, I really want to play piano. I think learning to play piano would be a lot of fun. I think being a piano player would be helpful. But even though I have a piano in my living room, like 10 feet away from me, I have not learned how to do it. We've had the piano for like 10 years, and I still don't know how to play piano. So obviously, learning to play piano was not a goal that was important enough to me to motivate me to action. So I moved on. FYI, my husband plays piano. So the piano's still worth having in the living room. I just don't play it. And maybe someday my kids will learn. The second self-check is to create meaning markers. I'm going to read this from my notes here because this is something I just learned a little bit about, but it's really, really useful. So you need to use meaning markers to keep yourself on the right path and towards your BHAGs and help to prevent hijackers. So a meaning marker, it is a mental landmark that relates positive emotions to whatever your goals are. It can be similar to your why, which I'm going to talk about next. But for example, this is just a personal example for me. I have positive associations with nutrition. So whenever I want to binge eat chocolate or go out and have a greasy hamburger, or whenever my period hits and I just want all the food and no vegetables, all the carbs, I remind myself, I go back to my mental marker, I check in, and I remind myself of how much I enjoy feeling light and airy and flexible and just feeling mobile compared to feeling bloated and heavy when I eat the healthy foods and mostly vegetables and drink 3 or 4 liters of water every day. I feel good. When I don't and I fall short and I have all the junk food or don't eat enough vegetables or don't drink enough water, then I feel like crap. So I have a positive meaning marker with eating healthy foods, which means that I am more likely, and statistically it's more than 30% more likely, that's pretty significant, to go with the healthy foods than with the unhealthy foods because I have that meaning marker established. So if you have this goal that you are motivated to action to be able to achieve, and you're committed to it, then start setting up some meaning markers. Why is it meaningful for you to take that step? Why is it meaningful for you each day to get up and exercise, or each day to avoid whatever was holding you back before? Why do you want to give up the Dr. Pepper? For example, the next self-check is what I mentioned before, your why. You're gonna need a really deep-rooted motivator. It needs to come from the deepest parts of your soul. Why do you want to reach those BHAGs? Why do you want to achieve this stepping stone SMART goal? Why do you want that bigger picture to be your reality of your life? You have to dig deep down and figure out what it is that motivates you, because there are going to be really hard days ahead. As you try to push for this goal, you're going to fall flat on your face, probably more than once or twice. It's going to be hard. It's going to be so rewarding, but it's not going to be easy. And on those hard days, that deep down why, that's your biggest meaning marker, and it's a huge resource. I cannot tell you how many times I have had to have like real out loud conversations with myself on hard days and say, Amber, this is why you want this. Don't give up, because you want this goal for these reasons. This makes you a better person, or whatever the motivation was, whatever the why is. You need to tap into that sometimes, so get it ready now. The fourth mental check or self-check that I want you to do is to actually get out a piece of paper, fold it in half, make 2 columns. And what you should do is on one column, write out all of your excuses, all of your hang-ups, everything that's going to hold you back. I mean, like, actually do this. Go get a piece of paper right now. You can pause this video, go get a piece of paper, fold it in half, write out all of the reasons that you're going to fail, or all of your fears about why you're going to fail. And on the other side, on the second column, write out your solutions. Because if you have this conversation with yourself ahead of time, you're going to be so much more likely to avoid those complications, because you already have a plan, and it's genius because you made it up. You got the answers to those hard questions already. And then if you just keep this like in your notebook someplace, or on your phone someplace, or I usually have a clipboard with the printout with my workout program calendar on it, so I can check off each day, because that just makes me feel really satisfied inside just doing the check marks. A little bit weird there. I will put that underneath the printout of the calendar. for what my hangups are gonna be, so that I can kind of flip through it on the hard days and remind myself that I had a solution, what the solution was, and then I can follow through and do it. And then my fifth self-check, this one, for some people, may be the hardest one. It is to pace yourself. You're gonna have to evaluate how many goals you can take on at once. I try to take on too much on a regular basis. So I have to talk to myself and remember, like, I have a running list of what my goals are in my journal right here. I have a journal that I actually physically write in a couple of days a week. I try to do it more often, but I'm not that great at it. I have a physical written list of what my goals are, and I have to remind myself that if I take on too much, I'm going to like fail everything. And so I try to be focused and deliberate and patient with myself, and prioritized. The most important goals come first. You know, you have to have, again, if you have like a stair step kind of lined out, or a map kind of lined out of what your SMART goals should be, or at least, you know, the bigger chunks, kind of SMART goals, then you have to prioritize the smaller goals in between that get you to each bigger chunk, which then will get you to your BHAG. This one's hard though, because everyone wants big changes all at once, when really the most successful people take on small, almost imperceptible changes. And then one after the other, they build upon each other. This is called the compound effect. So really small changes add up over time. They multiply exponentially over time. And then in the course of a couple of years, which sounds like forever when you're in the beginning, but it really doesn't take that long. But over a course of a few years, as that time builds up, the changes are massive. They're huge. And then everyone suddenly sees them and you look like an overnight success because of all these little teeny tiny micro changes that you've been making over time. My last tip goes along with pacing yourself. And that is that if you are able to keep a running list of what your goals are, you know, whether it's on your phone or on a piece of paper, or hopefully not just in your head, but someplace physical where you can refer back to it. Every time you get a new idea for a goal, every time you have this, you know, this itch to start something new, write it down. And then instead of jumping ship from one goal to the next, see your goal through, your initial goal through, but, you know, write that new goal at the end. And you can still focus on it because it'll become that new bright, shiny thing at the finish line of your current goal, which will actually help you to propel you forward when you get to the stagnating kind of plateauing part of your current goal, because you'll be looking forward to something shiny and new at the end of it. But use it as your motivator instead of what will derail you. Does that make sense? Okay, I've gone way over time here. I wanted to keep it under 10 minutes, but it's now under 18 minutes, so I'm gonna let you go. But I hope this is all beneficial for you, especially as we all start setting new goals for the new year, or for the new month, or for the new quarter, however you do your goal setting. I hope it's helpful, and I love you all, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.